Here's a disturbing truth that 99% of people refuse to accept your honesty is your weakness, and your enemies are counting on it. While you've been taught that openness breeds success, the masters of power have been playing by entirely different rules. They understand Machiavelli's hidden doctrine, that certain knowledge, when revealed, transforms you from predator to prey in an instant. I'm about to expose the 7 deadly revelations that separate the rulers from the ruled, the victorious from the vanquished. But I warn you, once you see how the game is really played, there's no going back to blissful ignorance. There is no greater mistake in the pursuit of power than to show the world your weakness. Weakness invites not compassion, but conquest. The moment you reveal your pain, your doubt, your insecurity, you become an open book for the ambitious to read, and a target for the ruthless to aim at. In every age, from the courts of Florence to the modern boardrooms and social circles of today, this law remains unbroken. The strong survive not because they are invincible, but because they appear invincible. A man who shows weakness forgets that human nature is built on advantage. Men love those who are strong only when it benefits them. They will praise you when you rise, yet abandon you when you stumble. They will whisper comfort while silently preparing to replace you. It is not cruelty that drives them, it is calculation. The world operates on perception, and perception is power. Once that perception is broken, it is nearly impossible to restore. When a leader falters, when a friend breaks down, when a rival senses vulnerability, the entire order of loyalty begins to shift. People begin to look elsewhere for strength. You stop being the pillar and become the burden. And in a world that worships control, no one wants to follow the burden. This is why I tell you, never reveal your wounds. Never show the trembling beneath your words, the fear behind your eyes, or the fatigue beneath your confidence. When you feel the world crushing you, learn to wear your suffering like armor, not like chains. A man can cry in silence, but he must never weep before the crowd. The moment you display your pain, it will not heal you, it will define you. The strong man suffers, but he suffers invisibly. He keeps his turmoil hidden behind a calm face, for he knows that people are drawn not to honesty, but to strength. There are those who will tell you that vulnerability brings connection, that showing your weakness makes you human. They are wrong. Vulnerability, when displayed to the wrong audience, is an invitation to exploitation. It is a luxury only the powerful can afford after they have secured their throne. Before that, it is poison, because in the game of life and power, people do not connect to you out of empathy. They connect out of opportunity. They will comfort you today, but use what they learn to destroy you tomorrow. I have seen princes fall because they confided in servants. I have seen generals lose their men because they admitted fear. I have seen allies turn to enemies because they sensed a moment of despair. Remember this: once people see the crack, they no longer see the marble. They only see the weakness. You may rebuild your image, but in their eyes, the illusion of strength is gone forever. Therefore, it is wiser to remain silent in your suffering, to endure the storm without complaint. A silent man confuses his enemies. They cannot tell if he is wounded or merely watching. That uncertainty becomes your shield. People fear what they cannot read. Your composure becomes your defense. Your silence becomes your power. When pain comes, and it will, learn to convert it into mastery. When betrayal burns you, learn to hide the flame. When despair tries to crush your spirit, bury it beneath a calm gaze. The man who can look at chaos and still appear unmoved gains control, not only over others but over himself. That is where true strength begins. Even in isolation, even when your mind screams and your heart breaks, remember that the world must never see you beg, never see you tremble, never see you plead for mercy. You must cultivate a presence that radiates stability, even when the foundations beneath you are cracking. Because appearance becomes truth. If you appear unbroken, people will treat you as unbreakable. The art of power is not in never falling. It is in never appearing fallen. Let the storms rage around you, but keep your face calm, your tone steady, your spirit veiled. The less you reveal, the more mysterious your strength becomes. And in that mystery lies the foundation of control, because those who cannot see your weakness cannot use it against you. Power is not lost by weakness alone. It is lost by exposure. The moment a man reveals his intentions, he hands his enemies the map to his destruction. In every age, those who ruled with brilliance did so not because they were the strongest, but because they were unreadable. Their thoughts were like smoke, visible for a moment, then gone before anyone could grasp them. To hide your intentions is not deception, it is preservation. For once people know what you seek, they begin to plot how to stop you. When I walked among the princes and merchants of Florence, I saw this mistake destroy men faster than any sword. They would speak of their ambitions with pride, thinking their confidence inspired fear or respect. But every word they uttered became a weapon for someone else. The court would smile, flatter them, nod in agreement, and then whisper in the shadows, preparing to cut them down. In politics, in war, even in friendship, to announce your purpose is to invite resistance. The wise man moves like water. He takes the shape of his surroundings. He flows without noise, and by the time others notice his movement, he has already arrived where he intended. To hide your intentions is not to live in fear, it is to live in control. Silence in the game of power is not emptiness, it is a blade. And every word you choose not to say protects you from 1,000 possible betrayals. People are predictable. The moment they sense your goal, they begin to calculate their position in relation to it. Some will try to align with you to benefit from your rise. Others will try to block you out of envy or insecurity. And a few, the most dangerous, will pretend to support you while secretly digging your grave. But when your true purpose remains hidden, none can act. They are forced to guess, to hesitate, to waste their energy trying to read what you never reveal. That confusion gives you time, and in the realm of power, time is everything. Even your allies should never fully know your plan, because an ally today may be a rival tomorrow. Let them know enough to act in your favor, but never enough to control your outcome. The greatest rulers learned to speak in fragments, to hint without revealing, to move with the appearance of openness, but the reality of secrecy. They made promises that could be interpreted 100 ways and gave answers that seemed clear yet revealed nothing. That is the language of power. Clarity on the surface, ambiguity beneath. The fools mistake transparency for honesty. They think speaking openly makes them trustworthy. But in truth, transparency makes you vulnerable. When you show people your next move, you surrender your advantage. You allow them to prepare, to manipulate, to block. A man who speaks too freely digs his own grave with his own tongue. Silence keeps your opponents blind. Speech gives them sight. The difference between the victor and the victim often lies in who speaks first. When people cannot read your intentions, they begin to project their own fears and hopes onto you. This is where control is born. Their uncertainty becomes your influence. They will overthink your actions, misinterpret your silence, and act out of confusion. That confusion is a weapon sharper than any blade. Let them wonder if you are plotting against them, if you are loyal, if you are indifferent. In that uncertainty, they reveal more about themselves than you ever do about yourself. A man who conceals his intentions learns to live above others, because they are constantly reacting to shadows while he alone knows the light. He can shift direction without resistance, pivot plans without warning, and strike where no defense has been prepared. The unseen hand moves the world, while the visible hand gets chained by it. The art of silence is the art of domination. Speak only when your words build power. Reveal only when revelation serves your victory. Let others show their plans, their desires, their strategies, then smile, say nothing, and wait. Their openness will destroy them, just as your restraint will preserve you. The greatest illusion is to make others believe they understand you, while in truth, you remain a mystery even to those closest to you. Your smile should reveal nothing, your tone should hide everything, and your actions should appear natural even when they are deliberate. The less predictable you become, the more control you possess. Because a man without patterns is a man no one can prepare for. Every move you make should have two meanings, one for the world to see, and one that only you understand. That is the essence of political survival. Let your true ambition live quietly behind your eyes, never upon your lips. Those who broadcast their dreams will never achieve them, for the world will always seek to cage what it can see. But what remains hidden, what lives only in silence and secrecy, moves freely and conquers silently. There is no easier man to destroy than one ruled by his emotions. Anger, fear, pride, jealousy. These are the chains that make even powerful men slaves. The world belongs not to the passionate, but to the composed. The one who can stand amidst chaos and not reveal what burns within, that man holds the strings of power. Your emotions are like secret weapons. If you expose them, your enemies will turn them against you. If you hide them, you can turn them into tools of strategy. I have seen kings lose their thrones because they could not control their rage. A single outburst revealed their insecurities, and the wolves around them smiled, knowing exactly where to strike. Anger makes you predictable. It tells others how to provoke you. Fear makes you pliable. It shows them how to control you. Love, when shown too openly, becomes a weakness that others will manipulate. The man who learns to master his emotions becomes ungovernable, for no one can read his next move. People think power lies in expression, in being honest about what they feel. That is a comforting lie told to the powerless. True power lies in restraint. It is far more terrifying to face someone whose face never betrays thought, whose eyes reveal nothing, whose voice remains calm even in fury. Such composure unsettles others. It reminds them that they are not in control. When they cannot read you, they begin to fear you. And fear, my friend, is the most reliable form of respect. You must learn the art of concealment, even from those closest to you. Do not let friends or foes see what stirs inside. Smile when you are insulted. Stay silent when they provoke you. The moment you react, they win. When they cannot provoke you, they lose their power over you. Every reaction is a confession. It tells people who you are, what you value, what you fear. But when you remain calm, they become the ones who reveal themselves. The strong are not those without emotion. They are those who have mastered it. The weak shout their anger, expose their sorrow, and broadcast their insecurity. The strong take all these feelings and turn them into discipline. Let anger sharpen your observation, not your voice. Let pain forge your patience. Let disappointment refine your judgment. The more you feel, the more you must hide. For your inner storms must never disturb your outer stillness. Even in victory, you must control your expression. Do not celebrate too openly, for triumph invites envy. Do not grieve too visibly, for sorrow invites pity. Both are forms of weakness in the eyes of others. The world measures you not by what you feel, but by what you project. You must project power, even when your heart trembles. Control begins when appearance becomes stronger than emotion. In every interaction, remember this law: he who controls his emotions controls the room. The louder a man becomes, the weaker he appears. The calmer he remains, the more others bend toward him. Silence forces people to imagine your thoughts, and imagination always exaggerates. They will believe you are more dangerous than you truly are, more confident, more aware. Let them believe it. Their overestimation becomes your shield. Those who show their emotions crave understanding. Those who hide them command respect. The one who needs to be understood is always dependent. He seeks validation from others. He opens himself to judgment. He invites pity. But the one who remains unreadable stands apart. He cannot be controlled because no one can predict him. He moves through the world like a shadow, present, yet untouchable. Even when the world tries to drag you into emotional chaos, never descend into it. When others shout, lower your voice. When they rage, remain silent. When they panic, slow your breath. The one who keeps his center while others lose theirs always wins. For power is not in dominance of others, it is in dominance of oneself. The man who rules his emotions does not need to conquer anyone else. Others will destroy themselves trying to shake him, and he will watch calmly as they do. There will be moments when you feel your heart breaking, when rage floods your veins, when the weight of injustice tempts you to react. But that is the test. The world will constantly push you to reveal yourself, to lose control, to expose your inner fire. Do not give it the satisfaction, the moment you let your emotions control you. You hand over your throne to those who triggered them. Self-control is not the absence of feeling. It is the refusal to let others dictate when you feel it. Remember this in every battle of life. Your silence can scream louder than your fury. Your composure can intimidate more than your threats. And your stillness, when others expect chaos, can dismantle entire strategies before they unfold. Desperation is the scent of defeat long before the battle has even begun. It clings to a man, follows him, and exposes him to those who would use it. The desperate man reveals his hunger too openly, and in doing so, gives others the power to starve him. You must understand. Power belongs not to those who need, but to those who can afford to appear as if they do not. The moment you seem desperate for attention, approval, or outcome, you surrender your authority to the hands of others. In every court I have studied, in every power struggle I have witnessed, the same rule stands: the one who appears calm commands, the one who appears desperate obeys. The desperate man rushes, begs, pleads, justifies. He tries to convince the world of his worth, not realizing that, in the very act of convincing, he confesses his weakness. The world senses desperation the way a wolf senses blood. It cannot be hidden by words or smiles. It leaks through your tone, your urgency, your eyes. People respect distance, not pursuit. They are drawn to mystery, not to those who chase. When you want something too much, a person, a position, a victory, you distort the balance of power. You make the other side the prize and yourself the pursuer. But in truth, power always belongs to the one who can walk away. Detachment is not coldness, it is control. It shows the world that your value does not depend on circumstance or validation. That is what terrifies people. They cannot bribe or manipulate a man who does not seem to need them. When you beg, they will ignore you. When you demand with calm confidence, they will obey. It is not arrogance, it is positioning. The powerful understand that desperation clouds judgment. It makes you act before thinking, speak before calculating, and reveal before concealing. It is the state of the defeated mind. A desperate man cannot play the game of strategy. He becomes the piece being moved. Even when you are in need, even when your situation seems dire, you must never show it. The less you reveal your hunger, the more others will offer you. The moment you seem comfortable without what you desire, it begins to chase you. This is the cruel irony of human nature. People desire what appears independent of them. They trust the calm because calmness signals confidence, and confidence implies power. Do not mistake desperation for passion. Passion inspires when controlled. It destroys when displayed without restraint. When people sense that you are willing to do anything to win, they make you pay the highest price. They will test how far your desperation goes, and each time you give in, they raise the cost. A desperate man is easy to manipulate because his fear of loss blinds him. He will compromise his dignity, his values, and his strategy, all for the illusion of relief. You must learn to act as though time itself bends to your will. When others rush, you pause. When they panic, you breathe. That calmness unsettles them because it suggests you know something they don't. Even if the world collapses around you, maintain the posture of certainty. The appearance of control often creates control. People rally around those who seem unshaken, even when they secretly are. That illusion alone can turn defeat into opportunity. Desperation also reveals dependence. It tells others that your happiness, your peace, your future rests in their hands. And once they know this, they will begin to pull strings. They will delay, ignore, or deny, just to test how much control they hold over you. But when you show indifference, when your tone says, "I can survive with or without you," their power dissolves. You force them to question their own worth instead of yours. I have watched men lose everything not because they lacked ability, but because they could not master patience. They demanded results too soon, exposed their need too openly, and allowed emotions to replace strategy. But the one who can delay gratification, who can pretend not to care, eventually bends the world to his will. He knows that time is his weapon, not his enemy. The desperate man burns through it. The wise man lets it work for him. There will be moments when your pride feels crushed, when opportunities slip through your hands, when silence from others feels unbearable. That is when your restraint must be greatest. Because desperation often peaks right before power shifts. Most men collapse before the turn, revealing their need and sealing their defeat. But those who can endure the silence without losing composure often emerge not as beggars, but as rulers. You must train your mind to detach from outcomes. Want things, but never need them. Desire progress, but never chase it. When you learn to appear fulfilled even in uncertainty, you gain an aura of inevitability. People sense that you will succeed with or without them, and in that realization, they begin to follow you. Because in a world of desperation, calmness looks like destiny. Power does not only depend on what you do, it depends on when you do it. The timing of your actions can either crown you with victory or bury you in defeat. A man who reveals his next move too soon hands over his advantage before the game even begins. He mistakes action for strategy and confidence for wisdom. The truth is, the world is full of people waiting for your next step, not to applaud it, but to prepare against it. When your plans are exposed before their time, you allow others to interfere, to imitate, or to sabotage. But when your silence hides your intention, your enemies are left in confusion. And confusion is the most powerful weapon in the art of control. Those who rule understand this simple but brutal law: surprise multiplies strength. A single move, if unexpected, carries more impact than 100 predictable gestures. When others cannot foresee your intentions, they cannot build walls against them. That is why patience is not weakness. It is warfare. You must learn to restrain your desire for recognition, your urge to announce, your hunger to prove. The man who can wait holds power over the man who must speak. For speech exposes, but silence accumulates power like a hidden storm. I have seen men lose everything because they could not wait. They wanted credit too early, attention too quickly, revenge too soon. Their eagerness became their undoing. When you reveal your next move, you invite resistance. But when you move quietly, with timing as your ally, you strike before others even realize a battle has begun. The wise ruler allows his enemies to tire themselves out with speculation. They waste their energy guessing, while he prepares in silence. Then, when they least expect it, he acts, not with noise, but with precision. In every pursuit, whether it is politics, business, love, or influence, the one who reveals his intentions loses leverage. Even in conversation, never explain your entire thought. Leave sentences incomplete, hints unspoken, motives disguised. Let people wonder what you truly mean. That uncertainty makes them cautious. They will try to interpret you, and in doing so, they will expose themselves. You, meanwhile, remain still, collecting information while giving none. Timing is the difference between a master and a fool. The fool reacts instantly, chasing every impulse, showing his hand out of emotion. The master pauses, observes, and chooses the exact moment when others are weakest. He does not rush into opportunity. He allows opportunity to ripen. Like a hunter, he knows that to strike too early is to miss the prey. He watches, waits, and when the time comes, he moves so decisively that no one can resist him. To act with patience requires discipline. The world glorifies those who move fast, but true power belongs to those who move right. Impatience is a sign of insecurity. It reveals a man's fear that time will not favor him. But time always serves the strategist. The more you hold back, the more tension you create. And tension, when released at the perfect moment, has the force of destiny. The surprise of a single, well-timed action can change the direction of nations, crush rivals, or awaken awe in those who doubted you. Do not confuse visibility with progress. The loudest move is rarely the smartest one. People who constantly broadcast their next steps do so because they crave validation. They want others to know what they are doing, thinking it will bring respect. But in truth, it only brings scrutiny. The quiet man, the one who works unseen, builds power that no one can measure. When he finally reveals his work, it appears not as an effort but as a miracle. That is how legends are made, by mastering timing, not by chasing attention. There is another truth hidden in this law: patience unsettles the impatient. When you delay, when you do not reveal what comes next, others begin to project their fears onto you. They assume you know more than you do. They begin to overthink, to miscalculate, to destroy their own plans, trying to anticipate yours. Their anxiety becomes your weapon. Their panic becomes your protection. And when they finally move to counter you, they discover they were fighting ghosts. You must treat your plans like precious secrets, hidden, nurtured, shielded from the noise of others. Speak only when the victory is complete, never while it's forming. The power of mystery is stronger than the power of truth. When people cannot predict you, they cannot control you. The moment they believe they understand you, they begin to manipulate your path. Therefore, let your timing be unpredictable, your actions delayed, your intentions disguised. The man who moves in silence commands more respect than the one who shouts about his plans. The quiet planner governs from the shadows, while the loud man burns out under the light. Every act should appear spontaneous when it happens, yet it must have been calculated long before. That is mastery, not in movement, but in restraint. For when your move is revealed only at the exact moment of its necessity, it carries not the weight of chance, but of inevitability. The desire to be liked is the softest poison ever fed to powerful men. It begins gently, disguised as warmth and acceptance, but soon it corrodes the will. When you seek approval, you no longer act from purpose, you act from permission. And a man who needs permission to exist can never command. Power requires distance, and distance cannot exist when you crave to be understood, validated, or loved. The moment you hunger for approval, you hand others a mirror through which they can control you. They learn what pleases you, what frightens you, what you will do to earn their praise. And once they learn that, they own you. In every court I observed, the downfall of strong men did not come from their enemies. It came from their desire to be admired. They mistook affection for loyalty and applause for respect. They believed that to be loved was to be safe. But love, in politics and in power, is a fragile currency. It changes with emotion, with rumor, with fortune. One whisper can turn admiration into resentment. Fear, on the other hand, is consistent. It anchors loyalty where affection fades. It keeps men from betrayal not because they wish to please you, but because they dare not oppose you. To seek approval is to admit dependence. It means your worth depends not on what you are, but on what others say you are. This is how kings become puppets. They begin to adjust their actions to fit the expectations of others, molding themselves to gain applause, altering decisions to preserve love. They no longer rule, they perform. But performance is not power. The crowd will cheer until the performance ends, and then they will demand another show. The applause you chase today will become the weapon they use against you tomorrow. Even in your private life, this law applies. When you need approval, you make yourself predictable. People sense what you want and begin to give it to you selectively, to manipulate, to test, to trap. They will grant their praise when they wish to control you and withdraw it when they wish to punish you. You become their creation, but when you no longer need their approval, when your self-respect becomes the only validation you seek, you rise above them. The one who does not chase approval commands attention without asking for it. It is better to be misunderstood and feared than to be understood and dismissed. Fear earns distance, approval invites intrusion. When people fear disappointing you, they obey. When they know they can sway you with compliments, they use them like chains. The world will always test where your validation comes from. They will flatter you to see if your pride can be bought. They will insult you to see if your confidence can be shaken. Your reaction will reveal whether you belong to yourself or to them. Do not confuse respect with affection. Respect is built from consistency, strength, and silence. Affection is built from appeasement. When you constantly explain yourself, justify your choices, or beg to be seen as good, you dissolve your authority. A powerful man does not explain, he demonstrates. His worth is self-evident. He knows that the need to convince is a confession of weakness. Let others argue for your virtue. Your only duty is to act in a way that makes their opinions irrelevant. The masses love what they can shape. They love rulers who reflect their desires, not those who challenge them. If you live to please them, you will die by their judgment. But if you live by your own code, you become untouchable. Let them call you cold, arrogant, distant. It matters not. History remembers the decisive, not the agreeable. The greatest leaders are never loved during their time. They are obeyed, feared, and only later respected. This does not mean cruelty. It means clarity. You must know when to withdraw warmth, when to refuse attention, when to stand unmoved in the face of disapproval. The ability to remain still when others withdraw affection is the mark of inner strength. Most men cannot bear the silence that comes when praise disappears. They rush to fill it with compromise. They bend their principles to regain the comfort of acceptance. But those who can endure that silence, who can stand alone in the absence of applause, are the ones who rise above the crowd. The path of power is lonely because it demands self-reliance. You must build your identity on conviction, not consensus. You must learn to find satisfaction not in being liked, but in being effective. The approval you deny today will become the respect they give you tomorrow. Because people do not truly love those who please them. They love those who lead them. They may resist your strength, hate your firmness, question your distance, but in the end, they will bow to your certainty. Your authority is born in the moments when you refuse to beg for acceptance, when you can look into the eyes of those who doubt you and remain unmoved. You create an invisible wall between you and them. That wall is not pride, it is protection. It shields your judgment from the chaos of opinion. Every great man has been condemned before he was celebrated. Every ruler was called heartless before he was called wise. Approval is temporary, but power endures in silence. Narratus, Machiavelli, in the end, power is not seized by force alone. It is preserved through discipline, restraint, and secrecy. The destruction of great men has never come from their enemies, but from the weakness they reveal. When you show too much emotion, you invite manipulation. When you reveal your plans, you invite sabotage. When you seek approval, you invite control. Each display of vulnerability gives others a map to your undoing. To survive and to rule, you must learn the art of concealment. Let others see only what you wish them to see. Speak less than you know. Feel more than you show. Act with precision, not with impulse. The world will always attempt to read you, to predict you, to use your openness against you. Your strength lies in your ability to remain unreadable. Machiavelli understood that human nature is not kind. It is calculating. People love you when you serve their interests and despise you when you no longer do. Therefore, your survival depends on your ability to appear useful, yet remain independent, to be feared without cruelty, respected without seeking love, silent without appearing weak. Remember this law. Concealment is not deceit, it is defense. The less they know, the safer you are. The less you reveal, the longer you endure. Power is not about domination. It is about control, first over yourself, then over how others perceive you. And when you master that control, no one can destroy you because they no longer know where to strike. In a world that rewards exposure and punishes mystery, your silence becomes your fortress. Let them wonder who you truly are. Let them question your motives. Let them never see your weakness. For the man who governs his image governs the world.